Tonight on Reporting Scotland, the exam results are in and higher passes are down slightly for the second year in a row.
Just because we didn't get A's doesn't mean that we're any less important than those who did.
And coming up on the programme, the First Minister meets the Prime Minister. Nicola Sturgeon says there needs to be a plan B for Brexit. Theresa May insists it's a deal for the whole UK. The Home Office is accused of running scared over its controversial plans to evict some asylum seekers. A dramatic finish as Duncan Scott captures gold in the 200 metres freestyle at the European Championships. And the Greek champions touch down ahead of their match against Celtic tomorrow. Good evening. Students across Scotland have been getting their exam results. Higher passes are down slightly for the second year in a row, but the number of candidates getting advanced Highers is up. Our education correspondent Jamie McIver joins us now from the Exam Results Helpline tonight. Jamie.
Jackie, 135,000 candidates across Scotland got their exam results today, and here at the helpline they've been busy taking calls from those who didn't do as well as they'd hoped to do. The team here have been offering advice on things as diverse as the university clearing system, college courses and apprenticeships. Now, across Scotland as a whole, I think the kindest thing which can be said about the higher performance is that it was broadly stable. But of course, the exam results day isn't just a big day for those waiting to see whether they've got a place at university. And a warning, my report does contain flash photography. Exam Results Day is a celebration for all students who've done well. For some, that success hasn't come easily. This reception was for candidates with experience of the care system.
We're capable of more than we think we are, which is really good because then we can prove them wrong.
I might be a midwife, but I might be like an air host, a flight attendant person.
Here and across Scotland, the focus isn't just on the academic elite.
Just because we didn't get A's doesn't mean that we're any less important than those who did.
But often those with the best grades are the keenest to celebrate.
You alright? Yeah. You get it? Yeah. Well done, man. Well done.
These students agreed to be filmed as they found out how they'd done.
I got all A's and I'm so happy with that. I was so nervous.
I know I had a weak subject, but I also knew that I put in the work for the ones that I was weak at during the prelims.
The school they go to isn't in a leafy suburb. It takes in students from a variety of backgrounds. Results here have been improving steadily in recent years, and 9 out of 10 fifth years now get at least one higher.
We look to see how we can work together. That's working with the parents, the teaching staff, the support staff, the external agencies. Focus on the person.
Thumbs up, right, okay, well done.
At another school, the Education Secretary shared in the success. Nationally, the higher results are broadly stable, though the pass rate did fall slightly from 77% last year to 76.8% this year.
What we see is the application of very clear standards by the SQA to make sure that we have a robust and an effective examination system, because that is essential to ensure that young people have the best opportunities to progress into the labour market and to pursue other educational opportunities.
There were different trends in different subjects. More students sat higher English, but the proportion who passed fell. In maths, entries fell, but more made the grade. Today's results suggest a broadly stable exam system, but some of the details may beg questions.
So, Jamie, is the drop in higher passes in any way significant?
Not significant in itself, but we do now have 3 sets of comparable data on the hires, and the trend, if you like, is slightly downwards through those 3 years. Now, to the government's critics, that is a sign of complacency, especially given the focus on raising attainment in schools. I think the government supporters, though, would want to point to the improved performance at individual schools and indeed some council areas overall. The Scottish Government also highlighted a rise in the number of applicants from disadvantaged areas who've got a university place so far this year, though it's still not the final figure in that.
And Jamie, there's been a drop in pupils taking some specific subjects.
Well, indeed, Jackie, I highlighted the drop in the number of students taking higher maths in my report. There's also been a drop in the number of students taking higher physics, and that's a concern for some physics teachers. I think that maybe taps into a broader concern amongst some teachers about the importance of the STEM subjects of science, technology and maths, rather than necessarily questions about the qualification system itself.
Thank you very much, Jamie McIver there. The First Minister has been meeting Theresa May in Edinburgh, where they signed off a city deal for the capital and southeast of Scotland worth more than £1 billion. But Brexit overshadowed the event, with Nicola Sturgeon warning that the Prime Minister's plans lacked clarity and posed a threat to business and prosperity. Here's our political editor, Brian Taylor.
A meeting then, but scarcely a meeting of minds. The leaders formally sign a £1 billion city deal for Edinburgh and South East Scotland, first outlined last year. In an atmosphere of Brexit uncertainty, the Prime Minister enthusiastically emphasised the gains.
This is a great day for the South East of Scotland and an exciting step towards a brighter future for this wonderful part of the United Kingdom.
The deal blends funding from both governments, local authorities, business and universities. In the festival city, cash is already flowing. City leaders hope today's finalised plan will keep that momentum going.
The city deal gives us the opportunity not only to embrace what's so special about our capital city, but expand on what's so fantastic about our capital city, giving us money for infrastructure, for housing, for a whole host of things that make what's going on right behind me so vibrant and continue to be vibrant for generations to come.
So, in Edinburgh, a happy face for festival time. And today's package also rolls out cash for science hubs in Glasgow and Dundee. But what if Brexit goes wrong? What if Brexit ends up a tangled mess with no clarity over future trade with the EU and perhaps even no fixed deal at all?
It would be catastrophic, and that cannot be allowed to happen. But the danger is if the Prime Minister continues on our current track, trying to pretend that the Chequers deal, which even within our own party seems to be dead, is the way forward, then there is a risk that we end up there, and that cannot be allowed. So she must set out what her plan B is. We wouldn't be here if she was taking the sensible option, which is remaining in the single market and the customs union.
So will it be happy times ahead, or will the Brexit bubble burst? Brian Taylor, reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
And we hope to hear more from the Prime Minister later in the programme. Detectives are investigating the death of a 6-month-old girl after she fell ill in Glasgow. The baby was taken to hospital after the alarm was raised at her home in Castlemilk yesterday. Her death is currently being treated as unexplained. The Home Office has been accused of running scared over the ongoing controversy about planned eviction of some asylum seekers in Glasgow. The UK Immigration Minister Caroline Noakes has been in the city today and is expected to meet Scottish Government ministers tomorrow. Well, Katie Hunter's been following the story. Katie, firstly, what has the Immigration Minister had to say?
Jackie, Caroline Noakes travelled to Glasgow this morning, but the Home Office told us this was a private visit and she would not be doing any media interviews. Now, as you said, her visit comes amid the ongoing controversy with Serco and their plans to evict some asylum seekers by changing the locks on their doors. Now, Caroline Noakes did meet the leader of Glasgow City Council at the airport this morning. Susan Aitken wanted a specific assurance that no asylum seekers would be evicted, regardless of the outcome of ongoing legal action.
She wasn't able to give me assurances today. She did say that, but she clearly, she did give me assurances that they have listened very carefully to our messages, that they understand what we are saying. I'm hopeful that she and her officials will go away and think about that, and we will get a positive answer soon.
Well, Jackie, as you know, we've been asking the Home Office for interviews on this story since last Monday. We want to know if they support Serco's plans to evict asylum seekers in this way, and we want to know whether these asylum seekers really have reached the end of the road in terms of their application. One other person who also had questions for the Immigration Minister was a Glasgow MP, but Paul Sweeney's request for a meeting was also turned down.
I think it's appalling that the Home Office is running scared from this issue. Where's the accountability on this? It's clear that communication is vital to assuage concerns and the panic that's set in amongst many refugees in Glasgow and asylum seekers who are facing eviction. It's important that the Home Office show leadership, and I would expect Caroline Noakes to be seeking a roundtable discussion with all interested parties, council members, members of Parliament, ministers in the Scottish Government, to make sure that we're all working together and doing everything we can to dispel these concerns and put in place a robust review of the entire process to make sure that we're helping people as much as we can.
So, Katie, has the Home Office said anything?
Yes, Jackie, in the last 20 minutes or so, we have had a statement, which I'll read to you now. Immigration Minister Caroline Noakes said, "This morning I met with Glasgow City Council and had a constructive discussion in relation to support for asylum seekers and failed asylum seekers who could be at risk of destitution." She went on to say, "We will continue to work with COSLA, Glasgow City Council and NGOs to ensure that asylum seekers in Glasgow receive the appropriate support." And she is meeting with Scottish Government ministers tomorrow, so we'll see what comes of that.
Katie, thank you very much. Police have named a man who died after a disturbance involving 4 people in Clydebank. 31-year-old Dominic Brown was taken to hospital following the incident near Cledden's Bar, but later died. Another man remains in hospital in a serious but stable condition. A 45-year-old man and a 38-year-old woman have been charged in connection with the incident. A teenage girl is to go on trial for murder after a disturbance in South Lanarkshire. The 17-year-old is accused of fatally stabbing Conor Cowper, who was 18, in Holytown in April this year. The girl, who can't be named for legal reasons, denies the charge and will stand trial in December. An independent watchdog has criticised Police Scotland firearms officers for pointing weapons at several people in Edinburgh in a series of incidents. The Police Investigation and Review Commissioner has recommended the force apologise for what she described as unwarranted actions. Maura Kinneborough reports.
One night last July, police were called to a series of incidents across Leith. An unidentified man had rung in saying that there were men outside his home armed with guns and knives, so firearms officers were deployed. They pointed assault rifles at 3 young men in a car park and made them face the wall. A short time later, a man was woken in his flat with police officers pointing guns at him. Then 5 people were forced from their vehicles, from their cars, at gunpoint with their hands raised. They were detained before being released. 2 women were strip searched. Now, the report into all of this says that detaining and searching these people at gunpoint was entirely unwarranted. There were failures in the authorisation procedure used for armed officers. Police Scotland has said their officers involved were responding to a difficult, fast-moving situation. However, they accept that this situation was not handled well. They say measures have been put in place since, and they've apologised to the individuals involved.
Maura Kinneborough there. Now, it's 19 minutes to 7, a reminder of tonight's main story. Students across Scotland have been receiving their exam results. Higher passes are down slightly for the 2nd year in a row. And still to come, AEK Athens players touch down ahead of their match against Celtic in the Champions League qualifying round. Staying with sport, swimmer Duncan Scott has won his 2nd gold medal at the European Championships in Glasgow. The 21-year-old won the 200 metres freestyle, saying he executed his own race. Elsewhere today, there have been Scottish medals in diving and track cycling. Here's Jane Lewis.
Saluting the crowd, and with good reason. Duncan Scott was 2nd as he turned for home, but he powered on, leaving others in his wake.
Duncan Scott's going to be the European champion! Oh my goodness me!
A wonderful swim and a 3rd medal from these championships for a swimmer whose reputation is growing by every race.
Yeah, I'm just glad I sort of executed my own race, and I'm absolutely delighted with that. I did not know where the race was or what was going on. At the last turn, I sort of half knew where I was, and I was trying my best to hold on, but no, I'm absolutely delighted with that.
The Scots were impressing in the water. James Heatley saved the best till last, as he won bronze in diving's 1-metre springboard, and smiles all round from coach.
It was amazing. It felt just like I was back at Glasgow Commonwealth Games. So, it's my home pool as well, so it just feels like home to me.
Smiles too in the velodrome, and a close race in the men's keirin.
Stefan Buttigieg takes the European Championship victory.
But bronze for Jack Carlin, and delight for the Scot after missing out on a medal yesterday.
Well, Jack, what's the feelings where you're wearing that around your neck?
pride. I wanted to come here and obviously put a show on for my home crowd, and the crowd was cheering on everyone, not only the GB lot, and it was great to see Glasgow just back in sport.
So a medal then for Jack Carlin on this, the final day of track cycling at the Velodrome. Earlier today, though, there was disappointment here for another Scot who was hoping to end her European Championships on a high. Partnered alongside Laura Kenny, this British team promised much, but others got the better of them as they finished fourth. They missed out on a medal by 6 points, but plenty to work on. It was day one of the athletics in Berlin, with Lindsay Sharp through to the semi-finals of the 800 metres and Kirsten McCaslin in the semi-finals of the 400 metres hurdles. Jane Lewis, reporting Scotland.
Well, meanwhile, road users are being warned to plan ahead as Europe's elite cyclists take to the tarmac tomorrow. The men's and women's time trial events will start and end in Glasgow, taking in East Dunbartonshire and Stirling. There will be major road closures and heavy disruption is expected in the city centre. Suzanne Allen looks ahead.
Well, this is where my wife and I are sleeping tonight, is on the sofa here, as the hotel is fully booked.
It's not comfortable, but it's the only option. Alan Duncan and his wife live in Bearsden and own a business in Strathblane. With the road being closed tomorrow, they won't be able to get in. The closure will have a big impact on their restaurant.
It's going to have a severe impact on our business tomorrow. We depend on customers coming from Bearsden, Mulgai and further afield that come for lunch, and we can do anything between 50 and 100 lunches, and we will lose between £500 and £1,000 tomorrow alone.
There was a similar event on Sunday, the women's road race, but the disruption was confined to the city. This is on a much larger scale.
This part of the road is going to be completely closed off from 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, given that this is the main artery into Glasgow from Stirlingshire and Aberfoyle, that's not just going to be a problem for businesses, but for commuters and locals too.
This is the route the men and women's races will take, starting and finishing in Glasgow and running through parts of Stirlingshire and East Dunbartonshire. The road closures begin at 2 a.m. tomorrow, and the roads will be open again by 9 o'clock on Wednesday evening. Today, people we talked to had mixed opinions.
I thought it. It's a day of inconvenience, but we'll work around it.
Well, it's not very inconvenient, I would say, but I'm no motorist.
It will affect a lot of people. For example, at the fitness gym up on the road there in Asda, but I think it's a great event.
Bus routes in and out of the city will be altered, heavy congestion is expected on the roads, and that will impact on fans travelling to Celtic Park in the evening.
It is only one day, but it would be wrong to pretend that this isn't going to be inconvenient for some people, and people don't like to change, and that's understandable. What we're trying to do is make sure that the changes they need to make are small. Some people might need to take the train where they would usually take the car. I understand that that's inconvenient for people, but I think the balance, the economic and sporting benefits to Scotland, balanced with that day of inconvenience, I think most people would think it's worth it.
The next road closures will be this Sunday for the men's road race. However, the route is confined to the city centre and West End. Suzanne Allen, reporting Scotland, Glasgow.
Celtic have rejected a multi-million-pound bid from Fulham for one of their star players. Brendan Rodgers says he wants to add players, not lose any more. His comments come on the eve of another big European match. Kerridin Itzan can tell us more.
Arriving from Athens, the Greek champions AEK. After their first title win in nearly a quarter of a century, they now aim to prevent Celtic reaching the Champions League.
We come here with good confidence. We beat Galatasaray now last week, and we have confidence in the team, so we will do our best and hope that we get a good result.
And it seems the boss isn't too worried he's without his injured captain.
He's a good player, but we have also very good players.
For Celtic, everything's going like clockwork so far this season, on field at least, where they've played 5, won 4, lost none. One thing the manager would like an improvement on is transfer market activity.
We've lost players, so the bare minimum we need to do is replace that. We've lost Stuart Armstrong and we haven't got a replacement yet. Patrick Roberts has gone out and we haven't got a replacement yet. So these are areas that we need to complete deals on, and get that support into the team.
After bids for Hibs' John McGinn were turned down, the Scotland international went to Birmingham today to discuss a potential move to Aston Villa. Not losing key players is just as crucial for Celtic, who've turned down a £9 million offer from Fulham for Belgian World Cup defender Dedryck Boyata.
Dedo's fantastic, to be perfectly honest with you. The last couple of years he's kicked right on his game. He's done well in the World Cup as well, but whatever happens between the two clubs, that's not for me to say.
The Celtic manager says his Greek opponents tomorrow night look like a Champions League team, and he knows a good home win is vital tomorrow night if Celtic are to make the final round of qualifying, where they will play Vidi of Hungary or Malmo of Sweden, as they try once again to hit the multi-million-pound jackpot of the Champions League group stages. Kerry Nidsan reporting Scotland at Celtic's training base in Lennoxtown.
NHS Tayside has again disputed claims by a Labour MSP that it gave a £300,000 payoff package to its former chief executive. Jenny Mara, who is also convener of Holyrood's Public Audit Committee, made the allegation yesterday about Leslie Maclay's departure from the Health Board. Its chairman, John Brown, says he has now written to Ms Mara, providing details of the actual severance package, which covered legal entitlements and was not enhanced in any way. 3 early works by the artist Banksy, which were accidentally painted over in Glasgow more than 10 years ago, are to be restored. They were covered with grey emulsion in 2007, 6 years after the world-renowned artist created them in the Arches venue. A team of restorers is expected to take 5 months to uncover the murals, which feature a gun-toting monkey in a tutu and a framed Mona Lisa. Well, now we can go back to the Prime Minister's visit to Scotland. In the past few minutes, Theresa May has been responding to Nicola Sturgeon's assertion that the UK government's Brexit plans lack clarity and pose a threat to business and prosperity.
What the government has put forward is, in the Chequers Agreement and the White Paper, is a proposal which delivers on Brexit, which ensures that we bring an end to free movement, an end to the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice, but protects jobs and livelihoods and is good for every part of the United Kingdom. What I want to see is, as we sit down and negotiate that deal and negotiate that with the European Union, I think it's incumbent on the Scottish Government to support proposals, to be speaking up for those proposals in Europe, rather than sowing the politics of division.
Well, our political editor Brian Taylor joins me from Edinburgh. Brian, it's been a strange old day. We've spent it awaiting a comment from the Prime Minister.
Yeah, we did, and it came in the last few minutes in a pool interview with another broadcaster. The day perhaps reflects the competing pressures that are piling in upon the Prime Minister. She has European negotiators saying that elements of that Chequers package are unworkable and impractical. She has figures within her own party, formerly, frankly, within her own cabinet, saying the same. And today she was reminded again, very forcibly, that the Scottish Government dissents from the perspective she is taking, dissents from the Brexit approach that she has outlined. She is suggesting that Nicola Sturgeon should row in behind her and be supportive. Ms Sturgeon says no, change the package instead. The package doesn't work.
Well, the Prime Minister perhaps went in search of some levity. She took in some of the sights of the Edinburgh Festival.
She did, but again, she was curiously camera shy in this very camera-friendly city during the festival. She went to a festival event, but there was no television access to that. As I mentioned earlier, there was no interview for the BBC, perhaps reflective of the pressures, again, that she is under, perhaps reflective of pressures of time. But let's put it this way, she certainly wasn't handing out flyers for her gig in the festival city today.
Brian, thank you. Well, let's find out what the weather can tell us. Christopher.
Jackie, thank you. Hello there, good evening. Well, sunshine and blue sky was at a bit of a premium today, but there was some. Lovely picture from one of our weather watchers near Ely and Fife. And tonight, a number of showers pushing in across the Hebrides and the West Highlands. Elsewhere, reasonably dry, some cloud, some clear skies. Temperatures around 9 to 12 Celsius, but in the countryside, it will be cooler. So to start Wednesday, for many eastern parts, dry with some early sunshine, cloudy in the west with showers, and then through the course of the morning, the cloud and the showers edge their way eastwards. But by afternoon, the cloud will thin and break, but there is a good chance that you could catch a shower almost anywhere, really. So sunshine and showers by the afternoon, and quite a fresh feel at times. Temperatures around 16 to 19 Celsius, warmest in the east, and a breeze from the southwest. Some of these showers could be quite heavy with the odd rumble of thunder, but they're hit and miss. Not everyone will catch them. Further north, still a number of showers up towards Caithness and Orkney, but Shetland probably largely dry with some decent spells of sunshine. And to end the afternoon and start the evening, the showers fade away. Plenty of late sunshine to end Wednesday. Thursday, it's another day of showers, particularly through the Highlands and Islands. One or two of these heavy again with the odd rumble of thunder. The further east that you are, though, largely dry with some sunshine. Again, temperatures around about the mid-high teens, warmest in the east. And Friday, once again, more showers, particularly across western parts, but a few will work their way ever eastwards. And so to the weekend, something altogether different. A fairly deep area of low pressure bringing wet and windy fare, but it's causing us a few headaches because let me just show you the European model. This is our preferred model. Well, it looks pretty wet across the board on Saturday, but all the weather models we use are not in agreement. This is the American model. They think the rain's going to be a lot further south. So great divergence at the moment between the weather models. And that means if you've got plans for this weekend, the forecast will no doubt change. Of course, we'll keep you posted. Jackie.
Can we vote for the American model? Yes. Thanks very much, Christopher. And now a reminder of tonight's main news. As students across the country get their exam results, higher passes are down for a second year in a row. But the number of candidates getting advanced hires is up. The Conservative Party chairman has asked Boris Johnson to apologise for the comments he made yesterday about Muslim women wearing the burqa. The former Foreign Secretary has been accused of Islamophobia after writing in a newspaper column that the women look like letterboxes. And that is Reporting Scotland. Join us for our next update, which is just after the 10 o'clock news at 10:30. Until then, from all of us on the team, enjoy the rest of your evening. Goodbye.